You never know.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to November 23rd, 2020, and Aligning with Success. Okay, so tonight's call is going to be definitely ad hoc. Normally, I come equipped with an agenda, but nothing was inspiring me to do so, especially in lieu of what I thought was a really, really important call last week. And a very important event this weekend, and the announcements of very important events coming up in December. So there's a lot to think about, a lot to talk about, and I'd rather not bring new information to the table. I'd rather this information become something you're really digesting and really knowing what to do with. So let's start with this past event. Oh, by the way, and I want to throw into the mix as well, many of you are actively receiving messages on WhatsApp, our preferred mechanism for communicating. And, NICAN consists of thousands of people in North America. And yet there's only, a few hundred on our WhatsApp chats. So that goes to show you who's really interested in the concepts of NICAN in terms of a business and the community. If they're not playing where we're playing, here's the field. If they're not on the field, they're not playing. They're spectators, and maybe some aren't even there. They're in the nosebleed section. Some of them are outside smoking a cigarette still in the stadium, outside the stadium. So that's the general purview of the NICAN world. But the ones that are on the field are the ones that are involved in the way we communicate, the chats primarily, especially WhatsApp. So you've seen, they're still coming in. The new diamonds and royal diamonds that are breaking, and of course I'm going to get a report from Gloria Nava, as I do every month, on all the rank advancements. Just an FYI, she is so thorough at this. She sends me a report of the new silvers, golds, platinums, diamonds, and royal diamonds in every country in Latin America every month where there's recognition due. And not only does she put the person who's advanced in rank, but she also has the name of the sponsor. So recognizing, of course, that they are involved in that person's development. So it's quite an extraordinary report, but November is usually a report of the year, because it's usually tied to how they operate their incentives in Latin America, which revolve around our incentive program that we've adopted here in North America, such as Team Kaizen, Team Taishi, and incentives that they've got with respect to any retail activity, which they have. They concluded last week. We are just about to start ours tomorrow with some focused effort. In any event, the report I expect will be very long and consisting of many, many, many achievements. And there's already, I don't know, I lost count how many diamonds and royal diamonds have broken just this month alone. Now, it's not a 1 month effort. The planning and the execution of the plan for these advances in rank started at the beginning of the year. They usually kick off the year with a reminder of filter replacements. So part of the NICAN, and we usually see spikes in volume whenever there's initiatives like that, whenever there's a directive from NICAN. And what's really important to understand is that there are directives from NICAN, and there is an army of followers following those directives, taking advantage of those directives. The culture that they have developed and cultivated in Latin America is very lockstep. It's very, they've created a very symbiotic relationship with the field leaders. And I'm bringing this up because it helps to understand the dynamics of what's taking place in Latin America and why there's such explosive growth and so many rank advancements happening simultaneously. It's because it's a business plan, a real business plan that is heralded by the company and collaborated and worked on by the field leaders. That plan, the whole calendar of events, is cemented in November for the following year. So what you are seeing is the execution of that plan, and the consequences of that are extraordinary. They're actually having a record-breaking month this month, and I mean record-breaking. It's extraordinary. And what I'm told by Luis Kasuga, our president, is that they haven't yet hit exponential growth. That's next year. So I'm excited about that because, again, I'm telling you this because this is not something that just is happening one-off. It's not an accident. It's something that's been set in motion a few years back and has continued. And I remember one of those events that I was participating at in Panama, where we had the Nikan leadership, and they have a name for all the events. And this event was in Panama. We actually were in the jungles of Panama at one point, and that was cementing certain information about social media agendas, how to apply themselves. So all of their curriculum over the last several years, or few years anyway, has been leading to what we're seeing now as the kind of growth and accelerated growth that they're experiencing. But it wasn't individuals doing their own thing. That's not what's happening in Latin America. While there are individuals, and exceptional individuals, taking the role seriously, they are part of an overall business strategy. And so that's something that started to take shape in North America with the introduction of the incentives, sort of the plan, the business plan within the compensation plan. But there hasn't been a lot of attention in a lockstep where culturally we all operate according to those things. It's been one-offs. Some people are, leading. Leo, for instance, he's always in the challenge for Team Kaizen. He's in the running again, and Barb and Madeline, and there's that group of people that you almost expect they're going to be in the running. But in Latin America, it's not like that. It's everyone's in the running. Everyone really takes the role who are in the leadership tribe seriously. Now, as I mentioned earlier at the start of the call, there's about 200 or 300 of us on WhatsApp chats. I would consider us the most prominent in the business because we're the ones that are most connected to each other and to the company through these WhatsApp chat groups, as opposed to just simply receiving an email from Nikan every now and then, or your upline every now and then. So there is clearly a tribe being developed in North America, and there's a strategy being developed in North America, and that's true for Europe as well, that we've not yet seen come together as a lockstep business plan initiated by this collaboration between the field and Nikan in a more formal way. That's all about to change. Many of you received the announcement, the notice of the Leadership Summit, the Nikan Summit, taking place the first week in December. Only 50 people will be eligible to be in that summit. If you're fortunate to be one of those people or have had your registration approved, then you're going to be part of a very, very early stage leadership circle who will be challenged to help bring that business plan to the marketplace, to the Nikan field, and start to create that lockstep scenario where when the company comes out with an initiative like they did just now, coming out tomorrow, 10% off all products, any number of orders for customers and consultants with a minimum, I think, 150 points per order and free shipping, that's quite an incentive. That's quite an amazing opportunity. If you would have known that this was coming maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, perhaps you would have taken the last 2 or 3 weeks a little bit more seriously about stacking the deck, getting getting more and more people aligned for this special so that you have the ability to take advantage. And we would see a surge in volume where your groups are concerned. And we certainly hope to see that anyway. But the point is, a really smart business plan will have within it people that are entrusted with information in advance so that they can orient and create a symbiotic relationship with the company and a strategy that will show some very, very significant results and subsequently momentum, the kind of momentum they're experiencing in Latin America now after having exercised this for many years. So that's in motion. I wanted you to know that because 2021 is not going to be the same as 2020. What you will see is a breakaway group. You're going to see a breakaway group start to lead the field. It won't be one-offs. It'll be a very organized and pre-planned situation. With that in mind, I want to also invite you to the event that's coming up following the Nikan Summit in the first week of December, and that is in the second week of December, the GoPro event, the virtual GoPro, virtualgopro.com. Again, the reason Ben and I took the time to put a little video together was to really help you understand it's also part of this plan. Part of the plan is to really take a group of people into 2021 with momentum started already, with a vision and a purpose and a collaboration. We did something almost like this, similar to this in 2017 when we did the world tour. When I did the world tour and we put launch partners together, that was a choreographed effort, but it was just the field. It was only the field. There wasn't a symbiotic relationship with the company putting this on. And so as well as it performed, and we did see an increase, particularly in Canada, in overall volume, what you don't have is that ongoing momentum because it wasn't sustained. The idea is there, but if you don't have the group and the culture and it's not backed and supported by the company with the training and the incentives that are aligned, then of course it's just a one-off. But we know it works, and we know if we look to the south, it works really, really well in a network marketing environment when you can create this type of a business plan. So the Eric Worre event is designed to ignite your engines in December. We can't wait till January. We need you to fire off sooner than later. And my experience, by the way, you know my experience in this if you've listened to, and I encourage you to just write this down, listen to the audio Silver's a Blast. What you will hear in that audio is really critical to an understanding of what to do, how to pull this plan together within your own business. But one of the things that is mentioned repeatedly is that the tipping point, the trigger point for all of the accelerated growth of these individuals took place at an event, which was either a large Nikan event or a Humans Being More. It was one of those two events that took place that shifted the consciousness within those individuals, that propelled activity that was able to be organized and resulting in many, many silvers being created in a very short span of time. But it all happens when a decision's made, and a decision's made when something changes within somebody, and it happens very, very quickly. So the event, the Eric Worre event, will introduce you to, if you've never been to a large, like I'm talking, this is a significantly large event. This is the most significant network marketing event ever in our time. And you're going to hear from people, you're going to learn some stuff from some of the best there are in the business. I mean, the best. Some of the stuff you're going to love, some of it you're going to hate, but you're going to hear everything, and you're going to hear what's working, because the only thing that's going to be on that stage represented is success. The keys to success as being experienced in real time. We're not talking about what happened 20 years ago. We're talking about what people are doing right now. So, and some of the results that these people are creating for themselves are beyond normal. I mean, they make me look like I'm in kindergarten. So I'm talking about big time results. So you're going to glean something from that. Now, I want you to know that my only skin in the game and Ben's only skin in the game with respect to endorsing this event is what happens to you mentally and emotionally. Because if you're triggered, as we would expect you to be, including ourselves, by the way, you won't go into 2021 the way you came into 2020. You'll go into 2021 with a very different agenda, with a very different energy that will create circumstances and events that are going to make 2020 look like you were just playing. So we're trying to get a number of you to really make to understand what's being put on the table here is an agenda for you to tap into, for you to become part of, and not for you to, you're not going to be a follower in this agenda. You're going to be a collaborator in this agenda, which means we expect performance. We expect for us to be honest with one another in terms of results and whatnot. It's not just a feel-good environment. It's really an environment where we expect the best out of each other. And I'm doing this for Ben, and Ben's doing this for me, so that we can set a standard for ourselves, because we feel the need personally to ramp up our success in the business, our achievements in the business, and bring in a new Nikken, a new culture, a new following, a new grouping of leaders. We feel compelled to do that. Now, I can honestly tell you that because it's the same thing that's happening for Ben as it's happening for me. We're having these conversations. And that's why we're going to the effort of saying, look, guys, you want to get ready for what's coming and be an active participant in it, because you're going to have the most fun. You're going to learn the most. You're going to grow the most. You're going to grow your business the most out of all the people on the sidelines, out of all the people up in the bleachers, and the people outside smoking their cigarettes, waiting for something to happen. You're going to be on the field with us. And I've experienced what that feels like before, twice before. I've gone through 2 momentum curves, and now I'm participating on the momentum curve in Latin America because I'm the upline for a lot of that. But it's so exciting. And when you see all these ranks breaking and so forth, I mean, I couldn't keep track of all the silvers we were breaking at one point. It was just incredible. It was like 20, 30 at a time. So in my own, just in my group. So I know what it's like to go through a momentum wave, but it doesn't happen. You create it. And you've maybe all on your own have been just sort of dabbling, cruising, participating, but not really being a trendsetter, not really being part of a wave maker. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making a wave. And we want to invite you to be part of that. So plug into those events that we deem essential to your mental and emotional state, because that's what's going to decide whether or not you take this on yourself and go into 2021 seriously with all the engines firing. Nikken itself is doing this through the Leadership Summit, and you're going to see the benefits of all that. As well, the IT, we're getting the links for the IT this coming week, so we can start looking at the new back office, etc. So everything is happening. Whether you're going to be part of it or not is going to be up to you, but it is happening. And some of us have already made the decision that we're not only going to be part of it, we're going to lead it. So having said that, let's rewind for a second and go to this event this past weekend. I was really inspired by this event this past weekend. I don't know why it was different, but for me, it felt different. And I think if you had any guests on the line, feel free to share right now what the experience was from your end. But I know from my end, it was a great call. I got off the call just thinking, wow, that was a damn good event, one of the best. So any feedback from you on the call regarding this past weekend and how you utilized it? Now, this is not the time to be mute, unless you're mute.
Well, this is Carol, and what I really like is that we're a global, the witnesses, the global dimension. It's just totally exciting for me, and it was for the person that was on with me as well.
Having all the stories coming in from all over the world.
Right, from different backgrounds, and the enthusiasm was great.
Awesome. Well, yeah. And how did that make that person feel?
Mike, I think it emphasized the fact that we are a global community, not just a North American community, when we had the input from other parts of the world. Also, the professionalism involved, the different backgrounds, emphasized the fact that anybody from any background has the potential to be successful with Nikken because it's a collaborative, supportive, global community.
And I want to get to some feelings about that, because we know what we saw, but what was the feelings that was transferred?
That was the feedback I got from my
Okay.
two guests.
So they felt that this was an environment that was professional, global, and the weight of a community. It felt like a community. By the way,
Exactly, and that anybody, it was open to anybody. It wasn't restricted to a particular type of person, ethnicity, profession, that it was
Okay.
open to anybody.
Good.
But
Go ahead, Carol. The feeling?
what we felt was excitement and inspiration and empowerment, because we are people who love to build bridges of understanding, and to be aligned with a company that is living it was very empowering.
Cool. Inspiration, empowerment, excitement. Anyone can join. Professionalism, global community. Anyone else? Any feelings from yourself or your guests? Did anybody have anybody join as a result?
Well, I just got back, Madeline here, just got home from a brand new Power Start. She'll be a Power Start now because I just got back from her house right now. So she has about 1,200 points in now. So she's already, others that she had invited to join didn't come on, but she's forwarding the video. So you're only going to have that video up for 2 weeks. Is that it?
That's
Mike,
right.
as far as posted? Okay. So she was involved once before. She owned the party center where I used to do my events, and she's on fire. So that was a lock-in event for her. So she was familiar with Nikken from before, but it was a lock-in event. And then Amy, who's the new silver, while she was getting chemo, was listening to it, and she loved it. She was at the center, the owner of the center. I talked to her today too, and she's going to be leveraging the recording to send to others as well. What Amy said as a 43-year-old is it was too long, just the length of it. The young mothers, working moms just like her, I mean, she had kids that were involved with sports, plus she was getting chemo. She said that it would just have been nice if it was a little bit shorter, maybe a few less speakers, or the amount of something a little bit shorter. I think it was marketed, wasn't it, at an hour and 15 minutes, and it was 90 minutes. But that was just her perspective. But as far as being valuable, it's valuable.
Actually, it was marketed 2 hours. If you look at the website, it shows you ending at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, I didn't see that. I thought
we ended in 1 hour, and it was 122 minutes. So,
but did your video, the little promotional video, did that say 90 minutes? I thought that said 90 minutes. It doesn't matter. It worked well. It's working well for Amy. Her team is moving ahead. I'm just giving you the feedback from younger people that are active and the amount of time. There were
so now,
people that,
if the event's not going to change in time, what would you say then to people in terms of setting up their expectations?
I would let them know how long it's going to be and what the kind of event is. I've explained that already. We have the calendar, the other events to plug into, understanding that it is a lock-in event. Now, one thing I would say though, if you did look at people leaving, some people did leave before the end, so they didn't hear Luis. And there were about 15, I think, that left before he got on. We actually talked about that on our Alliance to Royal call earlier today. Some people had to leave and missed him. So maybe I don't know. It would have been nice to have had him a little bit earlier.
I have
or
the
to given him.
timestamps somewhere
Yeah.
here for all the speakers, because I keep track of attendance and timestamps, so I know where everybody's at. I have to find my notes on that. But so we had started this event, and it was an hour and 15 minutes at the beginning.
Right.
And then there was, well, you know, it should be shorter. It's not going to ever be shorter, folks. I'm telling you right now. We don't want it to be shorter. We want it to be what it is. A lock-in event.
Right.
And a lock-in event is more serious. So if you watch any of the pros outside of our organization, you will know that a 90-minute or a 2-hour presentation is not too long. So you're going to get that feedback, but I'm more interested in, because if it's the first time someone's been invited to look at NECAN, then they may feel that way. But if it's utilized as a lock-in event, which is what it's intended to be, we don't have any issues with you inviting people as a first look. Just understand that that may be a criticism, is that, oh, it's too long. But I would turn it back on them and say, look, if it was the decision of a lifetime to get involved and you could experience half of what these people have, do you think it'd be too long?
Mike, I think the issue is us and the pipeline, getting people into the pipeline, the funnel pipeline ahead of
Yes.
time and doing what we're supposed to be doing. You asked for feelings and feedback, so I'm
Yes.
giving you the feedback.
But this
That's
is good
all.
because the
But
discussion helps
no.
you and others understand maybe how to turn this into a construct, you know, how to reconstruct the feedback. And yeah, we had peaked, by the way, in my count, we had peaked with Jeff and Ruben. I didn't catch the count for Luis, but that was our peak. So that was at the
it was towards the end when people dropped off.
it's totally towards the end. So that was at about an hour and 5 minutes into the call, hour and 5 minutes into the call when Ruben came back in. So, and yeah, the last leg may have been taxing for some, but we did have Jeff, Ruben, and Luis. So normally we have our
Overall, it
doctors
was
panel or our
excellent.
health professionals panel. Okay, well, the feedback is not about the criticism of the event. The feedback is, did this event have a shift in the prospect? I want to
Yes,
know what
it
happened
had
to
a
your
shift.
prospects.
Well, I just shared what happened to the prospects. They've shifted. Yeah, they're launching.
Awesome. Well, then,
And
long or short, it did its job where they're concerned.
it did.
Okay, good. And I like the fact that you use the word lock-in event, Madeline, because again, if we understand why this event is the way it is, then what is a lock-in event? And again, I want you to check out the audio. If you haven't done this yet, you've got to do this for yourself. Silver's a Blast. You'll find it on YouTube. Silver's a Blast. And I think my name is on it. And you're going to hear how a business plan works. If you're using this plan, it's going to have the effect that it's having for Madeline, which Madeline is a qualifier for Team Kaizen. I guess you're even starting to breathe down the neck of Team Taishi now. So this is my point. My point is you can either build this business as a pro or, as Eric Worre puts it, as a poser. Posers are, many. They're the ones sitting in the stands, wishing they were on the field. Wishing doesn't get you anywhere. The difference in our business and any other business in the world is that no one's going to say you can't play. No one's going to tell you you can't be on the field. You don't have to prove yourself to the coach or to the management to be eligible to get on the team. You can just decide to get on the field and start playing. So The only thing that stops anybody from being a player is themselves. The only limiting factor is the 6 inches between your ears. So of course, part of the agenda that we're working with going into 2021, what I have been working with is giving you tools to help you switch your identity, to help you become more and more familiar with your self-talk and start to change the way you think and the way you feel on purpose, rather than be a victim of your paradigms, a victim of the psychology that's led you through life until now. We're trying to become masters of the universe. Masters of the universe are simply people who can give themselves a command and follow it. They can keep their mind focused. They can dismiss negative feedback, negative chatter that's coming often from the subconscious mind, which is in resistance to a new identity, which means in resistance to new forms of success. Well, we don't want to be in resistance. We want to invite that in. So the work that I've been doing through this call is mainly the mental emotional stuff. What you're going to see more of is the mental emotional stuff, because that's a very important aspect of how you get out of the current reality and move into the new reality. But you're also going to get some just simple hardcore training. You know, there's going to be some things to learn. There's going to be stuff that you're not doing now that you're going to be doing. And you're going to be grateful looking back. Oh, wow, how grateful I am that I can do those things now. So any more feedback on the event before we move on?
Mike, I liked when you, on the chat area, you said identify yourself. When they expanded a little bit more and told more what their background with, the person watching with me was like Madeline said, anybody can do this regardless of your background. I appreciated that.
Cool. Yeah. And unfortunately, that doesn't come across in the playback, by the way. So for those of you who are saying, oh, can you please, give us the playback because we can't be at the event? There's an aspect of the event, the live event, that you just can't capture in the playback. I was reviewing the Eric Worre notes for his upcoming event, and there will be no playback. And he says it right on his website, because his experience, as has ours been, is that it takes away from the live event. And there's also just a narrow window of time where that playback is effective. So we don't want to make everything too convenient. And you might say, well, that's counterintuitive, Mike. We want to make everything convenient. No, you don't. The business people, the people that you want to work with, it's never a convenience. Success is so inconvenient. But the truth of the matter is failure is far more inconvenient. But most people don't know the difference because they have absolved themselves of giving themselves the opportunity. So they just live with their current circumstances and never challenge themselves. So mediocrity becomes the norm. And that's not where we're going. And that's certainly not where I intend to be hanging out. It's no fun. I like to be hanging out with the people who are making things happen. And when things are happening, it's fun. And that means for me too, by the way, new blood, new people. So that's the emphasis. That's the focus. You're going to hear that message completely repeated over and over again. So any other comments regarding the event before we move on?
My guest said that felt energized. He felt he was impressed with, again, the variety of speakers. And I think he said Sandra Thornton's energy came jumping out of the screen, and Dr. John's sincerity and passion came through so eloquently.
And by the way, thank you for that, Mary. The reason why we started before with the business presentation, and then we went into the testimonials as validation. But we decided a few months ago to reverse that, because the stories are so compelling. If you remember in a wellness preview, when did people really start to get excited? When the energy would go up, when you started doing product demos, all of a sudden the energy goes. So if we can capture that imagination at the beginning of the call, then they will endure the head stuff, which they still need, because they're going to have to, get this, justify their decision. So we make a decision emotionally, but we justify our decision with logic and reasoning. So we got to balance that. But we start off with a very strong emotional, compelling reason for people to listen, so that when they hear the business presentation, they're going, well, that makes sense. And they're justifying how those people are living those lives. So it's a really, really good 1-2 punch. The last segment, the third segment, is always by design to bring an element of credibility to the piece. The last closing thing is, can I really get behind this? Can I put my reputation on the line behind this? That's why we have either the medical professionals or, in this case, the executives, because we're asking people to put their credibility on the line. You know,
Mike, excuse me, go
Yeah.
ahead, finish. Well, that reminds me, today on the ATR, Suzanne wasn't on it, but she had a couple of her people on, and I didn't write the notes, but I do remember this. One of the things that she said is the ending question to Luis, and why did they join? And that was very powerful to Ann Bridsna, that to have that question and have them articulate the answer the way that they did. And I had a reapplying, I forgot to mention her, a silver that dropped off that's re-entering now. She's restarting again. And she liked the stories the best. You know, well, I've seen the other part before. Well, you have, but you know, the stories in the beginning was much more interesting. And of course, she knows you can watch The Better Way. So again, I explained to her afterwards that it's the lock-in event that this is. You know, that's what you're doing before you get people in. So I did have a former silver that's been kind of coming to events, and now she's coming back on again. And then another second new person under Amy. So Amy was on, she was in the center of a second person that's another one that's under her, and another one that was here. And it was a lock-in event for her as well. Her focus has been to get well first herself. And now she has shifted from just getting well herself to beginning to come up with a game plan for expanding that for other people. So
you could see,
yeah,
you could see how somebody who's a customer already and experiencing positive results could really leverage this event. You could see how this could really turn them on to, it would be like, you know, sending them a copy of the 4-year career and them really getting into it. Because then it really helps them see the possibility of turning this passion or this result of theirs into a business.
and the other thing that she said that Ann Bridsna shared was the passion of love. She really felt from the Thorntons, particularly Sandra, but Al also. Al was very good starting out and articulate. So they really spoke from the heart of the humans being more heart. And that's what Ann came back with and was sharing with the rest of their Tune In Tuesday team and so forth. So I thought that was pretty good feedback.
Okay, thank you. Well, last question about the event. What would you have done differently November 1st through to November 21st, knowing that that was going to be the event? Being able to say, wow, that's what's going to happen. What would you have done differently in the last 3 weeks leading up to it? Anyone?
I don't think I could have done anything differently, Mike.
No, that's not the answer I'm looking for, Barb. Don't justify your current reality. I'm not interested. I want to know what you could have done different.
Add more people in the pipeline sooner or before then.
Yes, but by the way, I just want to make a note for a second. Notice how I just handled this situation right now. What came up immediately was what? Why I can't.
Negative.
Okay? That's how the devil works. You know, get thee behind me, Satan. It's that voice that comes up that says why I can't or how I couldn't and justifies current reality. You've got to be dismissive of it as easily as I am. I don't mean to be rude. I mean to be on point. You've got to be the one who stops yourself You can't wait for somebody like me to be stepping in and saying, cancel, cancel, cancel. Those thoughts don't lead you to where you want to go. So become aware of that voice in your head. Even if you're not saying it out loud, if you're still feeling it or hearing it in your head, it's the same as if somebody is putting you in jail. It's stopping you. So yes, going back to what Madeline said, you'd have more people in the pipeline. So let's use that terminology. I like that terminology. We got that from Tim Sales. The pipeline. Then, you know, the NECAN pipeline. It's people go in, here, contacts go in the pipeline, and what comes out of the pipeline is customers, consultants, and referrals. But if you have nothing going in the pipeline, you definitely have nothing coming out. And we know it takes more people coming in the pipeline than you're going to get those results coming out the bottom. So people in the pipeline, people in the pipeline. If this is the most difficult challenge you have to solve, if this is it, people in the pipeline, if that's your big challenge, solve it. Entrepreneurs solve problems. Get help, find help, ask people for help. My rule of thumb, it's the simplest thing to do. Ask somebody for help. That's how I make the contact and invite. I ask for help. Maybe it's not for you, maybe you know somebody. I'm always asking people for help. It's the easiest approach, asking for help. And so if you need help because you're not getting people in the pipeline, start asking everybody for help. Can you do that? Can you ask people for help? Say, look, I've got a big undertaking. It's a big project. It's a big opportunity, and I need some help. I'm looking for the right kind of people to work with. People who want more out of life, who are just dissatisfied with the way things are. They want better quality of life. They want better health. They want to perform better. They want to have more fun. They want to make more connections with people, have a greater sense of purpose in life. All the beautiful things that we could say about NECAN. Start saying that. If you're, this is cool, you're not going to say anything and you're not going to get anywhere. You got to open up your mouth, right? You got to talk. That's how you do this. That's the one thing you can do that nobody else can do, you know, that you're supposed to do uniquely you. Be you, talk. Okay,
Michael,
so
I invited 85 people to the Zoom in.
personal invitations, phone calls,
Personal invitations, yes.
and phone calls.
Phone calls and texts. I had 60 people commit. I sent reminders out to each of them via text or phone call, whatever their preference had been that they indicated to me. So
60
I was
60 people.
inviting lots of people.
So how many people came?
4.
All right. There's something wrong between
Yeah.
60 commitments and 4. You didn't get 60 commitments. That's what you think you got.
Well, I got 60 committed in Word, on the phone, and in text. I will
Barbara,
be there.
I'm telling you, the results don't tell me that. The results tell me what you think happened, not what happened. So you think you got commitments, but I would be able to look at those words or hear those phone calls, and I'd probably say to you, you're hearing people say stuff that's not true, and you're saying, and you're accepting it as if it's true. Oh, yeah, they said they were coming. No, they didn't. You think they said because that's what you want to hear, but it's not what I heard. I'm hearing, okay, remember, if you're not having an honest conversation, then you're not really getting a commitment. So the question is the level of integrity of the conversation is what I would start looking at. And that means you need to reflect on that and ask yourself, how honest were these people? And the simplest way for you to get to that is call every single one of them back and said, these are your words, not mine. Which part of this wasn't true?
I'm in the process of doing that now.
Yeah, I just want to know because and be very gentle with it, but honest, brutally honest, gentle but brutally honest, because I would rather upset the apple cart and develop my sixth sense of being able to hear the truth than give these people another pass and find myself in the same situation next month because I haven't really developed a sense of awareness because I'm not really being honest with them. So it's about becoming that transparent where you can hear, and I can tell when somebody's going to come and when somebody's going to. I tell you what, I'm so good at this. I'm going to go back. I'm going to date myself. I remember working with one of my colleagues in Vancouver, and we ran an ad, a recruiting ad, and I had a system where I could tell whether they were going to show up at a meeting or not. So first thing is they would call in from the ad and I would hear their voice. Then I would secondly hear the message they left based on the instructions I gave them. Then third, anything that they said over and above what I asked them to would give me more tells. So those were three things before I ever met the person, just by the voicemail message they leave and the kind of message they leave. Then, so I would decide right then and there whether or not they were a 0-star, a 1-star, or a 2-star. If they were a 0-star, it means I don't trust them. If they were a 1-star, it means there's a 50-50 chance. And if they were a 2-star, sounds pretty credible. So that's the first pass. Then would come the phone call to invite them. I would have 5 questions that they needed to answer. As in the first question, what was it about the ad that got your attention? And then I would listen to the answers. By the end of that conversation, they would get a 1, 2, or 3-star. And I would know whether or not they were at the end of that conversation a 1, 2, or 3, or 0-star. If they were a 3-star, are you ready for this? They were going to be at that meeting. If they were a 2-star, there was a 50-50 chance they'd be at that meeting. And if they were a 1-star, there's no way they're going to be at that meeting. So I would book I would want to have 4 people in the meeting at a time. So I would book based on my star system. So let's say I had 8 people scheduled for one time slot, but I didn't have actually 8 people attending. I just had 8 people saying they're going to come. But based on the stars, I would know how many I would be there. And I did this right on in full light of the person I was working with. 49 out of 49 showed up over the course of the 3 days we were running this. Now, that means you get really good at hearing what people are saying, and you start to read between the lines because they're not necessarily being honest or factual. And you've got to get good at listening to what they're really saying. What are they saying? And if they're not saying a lot, that's saying a lot. So you got to get good at listening. That's the best skill you could possibly have in this business, is the listening skill, because then you can hear what question is the appropriate question to ask so that you could get do they get a star or not? Do I believe them or not? I gotta know. So get really good at listening. And that's the thing I would take from that, 60 people commit and 4 show up. No, you didn't get 60 people committed. You got 4 people who committed. You got 60 posers, 56 posers. Get good at understanding the difference. That's really important if you're affected emotionally. If you're not affected emotionally, that's okay. That's good. That's even better. But a lot of people are affected emotionally. They feel, oh, wow, 56 people out of 60 people. I did all this work to contact these people and they show up. You might feel bad about yourself. If that's happening, then I would say this is an exercise then for you to get better at listening. If it doesn't bother you, you're like, hey, it's just the numbers. That's fine too, because it's true. At the end of the day, it really is. So, okay, so the major comment, any other person, again, this one question. I just want one more answer to this one question because it's probably the same answer. If you had the last 3 weeks to do over again, knowing how this event was going to impact people, what would you have done different? Anyone?
Mike?
Yes.
Hi, it's Linda from Seattle. Mine is very simple and to the point. You just really said it all. I just would have been more strategic in contacting people and really, like you said, listening to what they're saying and not what I want to hear. I just would have been on the phone more and
Great.
texted more. That's it. Very basic.
And that's it. At the end of the day, what else is there to do? It's contacting, inviting people, contact and inviting people. You can't pull teeth. You can't drag them through the business. So it's up to them to be inspired and to be truthful to their commitment, truthful to their word. But people do reveal themselves, and you need to pay attention to that. We often, we give people all these passes, and to some degree, I can have some compassion for that because they've been conditioned to be liars. I mean, look at their politicians, look at their world leaders, they're all liars. So they're in the habit of being lied to, so they become liars themselves. But if you want to really get on the track, on the road to success, especially success in the people business, you got to be a people person. You got to start to respect yourself, your time, and the time of others, and vice versa. So, really listen for those clues as to who you're speaking with and whether or not they're really, one of the things I used to, I still do, I'll say to somebody when they say, I'll try to be there. I say, what? You what? Well, I'll try to be there. Hey, you don't happen to have a pen on your desk, do you? Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Try and pick it up. Yeah, go ahead. Are you holding it? Yeah, I'm holding it. I said, I didn't say pick it up. I said, try to pick it up. That's usually enough to get I'm not following you this way. This is not how this works. I'm going to be straight with you. You be straight with me. You're either there or you're not there. It's just nothing in between, really, right? So I'll tell you that might seem like, oh, that's a little pushy. Really? Have we become people where honesty is no longer relevant, no longer important? Are we so politically correct that that's the appropriate way to be? And I'm saying this out loud because I'm almost slapping myself. I'm going to tell you guys, because you may be surprised, but my daughter yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, the snowstorm we had here in Toronto, she did a video, Sophia, and most of you know Sophia. She did a video and she decided to do a meditation out in the snowstorm and with sirens going off in the middle of the city to get to a state, because she's really developing herself and her ability to meditate, to be able to focus her mind regardless of the circumstances around her, regardless of the stimulation that's going in the world around her. She's trying to become very focused, her thoughts and attention, because if you're going to be a master of the universe, you've got to be able to master your thoughts and your emotions, regardless of what the circumstances are. Well, right toward the very last words in the video, up to that point, I was with her. And then she said, and I'm wearing this effing sweater, in a joke. And I'm like, oh, damn, I don't think I can share this video. And she was really upset with me because it's like, wait, I'm being completely transparent. I said, yeah, I know, but there's a difference between being transparent and, etiquette. And that's me being politically correct. So I'm extremely hesitant to share that video on account of one little, and yet, there's a sense of me that says, there's both sides of the equation that's valid. Anyway, so if you see me post it, you'll know that there was hesitation on my part to post it. But the point that she's trying to make is not that. The point she's trying to make is you're going to be surrounded all your life by distraction. That's just inevitable because you live in a world with other people and conflicting agendas. But how do you create what you want is you've got to get laser focused to the point where those distractions don't take you away from your agenda, don't take you away from the thoughts and the feelings that are in alignment with the desired outcome, because that's the only thing that can take you away. And you can't blame the circumstances. They're the circumstances of your thoughts and feelings. And so become a master of the universe where it doesn't matter what's going on outside of you and around you. That is not the point. What matters is what's going on inside of you, because that's what's going to be reflected in the imminent time to come. We don't out picture at the same capacity as the capacity is the same, the timing is off. We sow a seed, we reap a harvest, they don't happen at the same time. That's why the current circumstances is the harvest you're reaping from previous seeds that have been sown. So if you want to sow new seeds, you can't look at the harvest. You can't let the harvest decide how you feel about the seeds you're sowing. You sow those seeds and you stay true to those seeds. Anyways, okay, so we're done for tonight. Thank you for joining, everyone. One last comment again. We've got a great opportunity to finish this month with some real volume because of this 10% discount and free shipping. And I think, take full advantage. Of course, what's coming is Christmas and obviously Thanksgiving for the Americans. Happy Thanksgiving in advance. And better you get your orders in now if you're specially shopping for Christmas, because you want your products to be delivered on time. So don't wait. I keep telling everybody, look, guys, if you want something, you got to tell me now, because I can't guarantee you're going to get it in time otherwise. So especially with everything with shipping delays and whatnot. So take advantage. Let's make the end of this month an extraordinary month. So if you had the last 5 days of the month to do over again, being it be December 1st, what would you have done differently? Well, I got good news. We have those 5 days to live still. So do something different. All right. Have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And is Monday, by the way, Madeline, is Monday? Is Monday holidays for you guys? What's the deal? No, Monday's not a holiday, right?
Thursday and Friday, and the office is closed. So
Right.
these are call-in orders. So you
Yeah.
have Tuesday, Wednesday, and next Monday, I guess.
Correct. Okay. So Monday, we'll see you next Monday. And I do understand that some of you are going to be on the phones because that's probably the place you ought to be. So
Yeah.
Mike,
Yes.
GoPro, what is December the 11th to 13th? It costs how much?
that's
and
right.
what time?
$297 US. $297 US a ticket.
Got it.
And by the way, today's the last day. If you can do this today, because there's like $4,000 in giveaways for those who get it done by the end of today.
So go online and do it?
Immediately. Yeah. If you're going to go, do it now. There's literally $4,000 in giveaways from the speakers
Okay.
and value. So yeah, don't miss that. Okay, everybody. See you then.